How you doing, Bruin fans? Todd Reeves here with your UCLA Daily Report, part of the Fan Arch Network. Glad you joined me on this Friday, March 20th, 2026, also known as Game Day for the UCLA Bruins. They'll be playing tonight in Philadelphia at 4:25 Pacific time, so make sure you're in front of the television or somewhere where you can watch the game as UCLA takes on the Central Florida Golden Knights. But before we get started and get to our preview of that game, I just want to give a shout out to you guys. I can't thank you Bruin fans enough. The support you've given this channel so far has been tremendous. I look at the numbers and I'm just blown away by everyone who's watching these. I hope you're enjoying them. I have a lot of fun doing them. I'm excited to do more. I'm excited to interact with all you guys and hopefully, and gals, I should say, and hopefully, we can get a nice little community growing here. And so far, so good. So just a shout out to you, Bruin fans. Thank you so much for watching and supporting and liking. And I can't thank you enough. And hopefully we can keep this thing going. So let's start off with the Bruins men's team as they play, like I said, tonight against Central Florida. And when you take a look at Central Florida, they are a mirror image of UCLA in the fact that you look at their schedule, they're 21-11 overall, 9-9 in the Big 12. They finished 7th in that conference. The Big 12 is a good conference, but you look at it and you're like, this team's kind of mediocre. But you look at their results, you go deeper, and you see it's just like UCLA. UCLA has double-digit losses, but they have some high quality wins, and so does Central Florida. They beat Kansas. They beat Texas Tech, who's a 5 seed. By the way, Kansas is a 4 seed. They also beat a 6 seed in BYU, and they beat them at BYU, which is a very tough place to play. And they beat them by 13 points. On top of that, in the non-conference, they beat a Texas A&M team that is in the tournament as well. So that's 4 quality wins for the Golden Knights. Now, they do have some, let's say, questionable losses, which UCLA does too. But you look at these two teams and they're kind of similar. Like when they play really well, they can play with anybody. When they play, below their standards, then they're not very good. So will both teams play well? Will one team, play up to their potential and the other team doesn't? That's what we'll find out later on tonight. So the other similarity between UCF and UCLA is the Golden Knights are much better at offense than defense. When you take a look at the Ken Palm ratings, UCF averages 81 points a game on offense, and that's 39th when you look at offensive rating in the Ken Palms. But their defensive rating, according to Ken Palm, is way down. They're 102nd in the country in Ken Palm rating. And you take a look at UCLA. UCLA is similar as they're a much better offensive team than defensive team. They're just better than UCF in those two categories. They're 21st in the country in offensive rating. As we said, UCF's 39th. And UCLA's 54th in defensive rating. And defense has not been their strong suit, but they are well within the top 100 as opposed to UCF. And, when you talk about UCF, the team, like, as we said, will get up and down the floor. They like to score. They like to play at a fast pace. Will that fit into the Bruins style? I think so. I don't think you have to worry about Johnny Dawkins going with the zone, although he might. But I think he wants to play tough man-to-man defense and speed up the Bruins. And, let's see, what can happen as far as UCLA and UCF getting up and down the floor, getting transition buckets, getting easy ones. And that also leads to, turnovers. Who's going to limit the turnovers? But here's the difference between UCF and UCLA. UCLA comes in red hot. As we've said before, their only loss lately has been Purdue when they had 2 of their best players out with injury, and Donovan Dent and Tyler Bilodeau. But they got wins over Michigan State. They got wins over Illinois, as we said. They got a couple wins over USC. So they've been red hot. And UCF has been ice cold, and I mean ice cold. They have lost 4 of their last 5 games. In fact, their last 3 games, they've hit 3 3-pointers in each game. Their last 3. They hit 3 3-pointers against West Virginia, They hit 3 in the first round of the Big 12 tournament, and then in the next round against Arizona, they also hit 3. The problem is they take a lot. So they went 6 for 45 in the 2 games in the Big 12 tournament, and if you throw that third game in, they're 9 for 61 in their last 3 games shooting the 3 ball. So that's a 15% clip. UCLA has had no trouble shooting the 3 ball. They struggled a little bit against Rutgers shooting, but other than that, this team's one of the best shooting teams in the country. So it'll be interesting to see, who shoots the ball well. Will UCF finally decide, we're going to start hitting threes? That'll be a big tell in this game to see how it goes. But let's first start with UCLA when they have the ball. What is UCLA going to try to do to attack UCF? And the key to me is Donovan Dent. Dent has to get into the lane. He has to create shots for his teammates, and he has to, even finish at the rim himself. If he can do that, it'll collapse the defense for UCF. It'll give the shooter space on the outside, and they can hit the threes. It'll be interesting to see, though, how well he can get to the rim, because one of the players that UCF has is 7'2". His name is John Bowl. He only averages a block a game and just 5 rebounds a game. And part of that reason is because he's not very well built, I should say, at all. He's very skinny. He's listed again at 7'2", 210 pounds. And when they list you at 210 pounds, he's probably really around 200, 190. So he's not big and strong and bulky, but he does have a lot of length. Will that bother UCLA, and specifically Donovan Dent at the rim? But Dent's going to have a double-digit scoring game, and he's going to have a double-digit assist game, in my opinion. If he does that, I think UCLA will cruise in this one, but we'll get to that later. But it's going to be important for him to finish at the rim over the big center, and it's going to be important because if he can get around his man, he can create gaps and space for the shooters to hit shots. And UCLA's hit shots all year. I'm not saying they're going to shoot, over 50% from 3, but I believe in this team that they're going to shoot well. They've been shooting it tremendously. Even when they weren't playing well, they were still shooting the ball really well. It was on the defensive side, which we'll get to. That was the problem. But UCLA on offense needs to have Donovan Dent be the creator, be the gasoline in the engine, and make this team go. And if he can, I think UCF could be in deep, deep trouble. So let's talk about the defensive side. Now, this might be the most important aspect of this game. The Bruins have to guard the three-point line. I mean, when you take a look at UCF, their main shooters are Riley Kugel and Themis Folks. They both average 14 points a game. There's no big-time scorer on this UCF team. They have 4 players that average double digits, led by Kugel, averages 14.4. Jamichael Stillwell is their power forward, or their 4, and he averages 12 points and 8 rebounds. He's a 6'8" forward. He's one that's going to also play a big role. They're going to have to keep Stillwell off the boards, especially on the offensive boards. They're also going to have to make sure that they get some offensive boards and not let just Stillwell just vacuum in all the defensive rebounds. So keeping Stillwell off the board will be a factor. But as I said earlier, UCF has come in ice cold shooting from 3. And even with that horrendous shooting, they actually beat Cincinnati in the first round of the Big 12 game. I don't know what happened in that one. But, they also had a horrible shooting game the next game against Arizona, and Arizona blew them out by more than 20 points. So what team shows up? And UCLA has got to create some doubt in UCF's mind. If UCF comes out and starts hitting some threes early, they're going to get some confidence. UCLA really has to dig in defensively, stay in front of their man on drives to the basket, and then recover quickly to the outside shooters like Kugel and Folks, because those are 2 guys that can fill it up. On the year, they're both shooting around 40% from 3, which is pretty good. So the Bruins are going to have to guard those 2 guys, make sure that they make it as tough as possible getting those 3-point shots off, because if they start missing a few early, then they're going to say, here goes again. We just can't shoot at the end of the year. So the 3-point line, especially for UCLA on defense, they have to guard the 3-point line and they have to defensive rebound the ball. Those two things are the things they need to do if they want to keep going in this NCAA tournament. So we've gone over that. What about the prediction? Should we do a prediction? Let's do one. UCLA is obviously the better team. There's no dispute on that. The committee gave them a 7 seed, and the Bruins, to be quite honest, at the end of the year, they were playing more like a 4 seed. So the Bruins are and can be one of the best teams in the country. Will they show that tonight? Let's sure hope so. We're crossing our fingers, but just because you're the better team doesn't mean you automatically win the game. You just don't throw the ball out and give you the win. So will you say a win? After looking at it, one of the things last year that I was reminded of was they played Utah State in the first round in a 7-10 game, and UCLA was the 7 seed. And I thought, oh no, Utah State might give them some issues, might be a tough game. And UCLA just came in and absolutely just took them to the woodshed and beat them by 25 points. I mean, Utah State never had a chance. The Bruins were all over them. I'm hoping that's what they do tonight, but we will see. UCLA should win. I think they'll win. I think it'll be a close game, though. The spread, I believe, that I saw was around 6 points. I think that's probably what it'll be. I think the Bruins will win somewhere between 4 and 8 points, but I think they will get the win, and I think they'll move on, or they'll likely play Connecticut. So we'll see what happens after the Bruins play on Friday. Hopefully they will play again on Sunday. And guess what? I will talk to you on Monday, and we'll recap both the games, hopefully preview a Sweet 16 contest that'll be coming up next week. But we'll do all that on Monday. So that'll do it for today's UCLA Daily Report. Have a good weekend. Bruin fans, enjoy the tournament. Let's get a couple of victories, and then let's talk Sweet 16 on Monday. Take care, everybody.